Yo, what is up, my magic knights? It is your boy Loaded here, and today we're going to be talking about something I've wanted to cover for a long time now, and it's how you can prepare for BCM Global. Now, with the global servers dropping on the 30th of November, the Canada client will be merging with the global client. The keyword there being the client. Our data will stay on Canadian servers, it just will be a part of all one big client now. Now, it's also important that you know how to play and progress as best as you can, and later this week I'll be doing another more in-depth video if you want to know everything, or every single detail you can do to get further ahead in BCM. Now, first thing I want to go over for all of you guys is the story progression / your stamina usage. Now, please keep in mind that for the global client, we still don't know if story tickets will be removed for global like they have for Canadian. JP and KR are still using the story ticket system as well, so it's up in the air currently. In the case of there being story tickets, to progress through the game, you'll be needing to use those story tickets, which the game only gives 6 a day plus 3 refresh tickets, which you can use your black gems on. Now, the game's going to give you about enough story tickets to clear all the way up until, give or take, the halfway mark of the second chapter. And then that's where you'll have to refresh a little bit to get slightly further ahead. Now, if we're using a stamina-based system, then I'd say most likely you'll be able to clear up till the end of Chapter 2 or maybe some of Chapter 3 before you just get stuck because your units are too weak. And if that's the case, and we use stamina for story, what I suggest is you guys split your stamina in half for story, and then just for everything else, like, clear as much story as you can until you start struggling with your own units, and then use the rest of your stamina to go and build up your units or level up your units or get your skills and talents up. Because while yes, we can clear the story a lot faster, no matter what we do, even if we do split blitz the story, we're not going to be able to get far enough because our units will not be leveled up enough. They won't be built enough with gear. And so that's exactly why I like the story ticket system a lot more, is because it lets you get as far as the game thinks you can get, and then the rest of your stamina you can put in to building your characters up so that you'll have an easier time clearing story. Now, with the story part of that out of the way, I want to also keep in mind that something that you want to do is, in number 2, you want to pick your 4 main units that you're going to be using. Now, since obviously Season 2 will be on Season 1 when the game for Global comes out. So I'd say that some of the best units you can keep in mind for Global are going to be your seasonal units. So, you know, like the blue Yami, your red Asta is going to be a really good attacker unit, and also the best healer of Season 1, in my opinion, which is going to be Seasonal Mimosa, as she can res your team with her ult. Now, let's say that you might not get any of these, that's alright, but no matter what you get at the start of the game, make sure that you're focusing solely on the 4 units. So let's say you have blue Yami, you know, maybe Vanessa, this Mimosa, and, you know, Char. That's perfectly fine. Make sure that you're focusing on those 4 units by themselves. Also, as you can see, you know, there's SR units, there's SSR units. Most of these, the Voltos was an SR unit, as you can see, he's the max rank in the game, and I'm just going to quickly go over that. How that works is by the bond system here. So if we take someone like my Noelle, you see how this little heart says 5, this is the bond system. It's basically like your friendship with them, and as you get their friendship higher, you'll unlock their rank up, and that's going to help you actually get your character up higher. So no matter what, don't worry, you don't need the SSRs to get the LR rank. Everyone in this game can be LR. Obviously, SSRs are better than the SRs, but who cares? You know, no one has the money all the time, unless you're a whale, in which case, do what you want. Now, something I also want to go over is that this game, when you first start, has a reroll banner. And so, there are quite a few characters on there, and I'm just going to go over really quickly who you should be rerolling for if you want the best progression. Now, off rip, we have Lotus, and Lotus is an AoE debuffer who's also a blue unit. Now, Mono Blue is something that you're going to need extremely in the game, because Mono Blue is going to help you clear a lot of the content that requires leveling up and building your characters to get them better and more prepared. Mono Blue is going to be your main team for that, and it's extremely useful. Now, Lotus, basically, everyone's going to tell you reroll for him. If you somehow get a Lotus, you don't need his dupes. Later down the line, as you play the game, you'll get more dupes for Lotus, and then you can decide if you want to dupe him. If you already get him, don't get Lotus again. On that case that you might have gotten a Lotus, then Mars is going to be someone that you're going to want to go for, as he has the highest defense stat in the entire game. He also is just the best defender. No one can beat Mars. Alongside that, he's a blue unit who also has access to stun, so he's going to be able to stun, you know, the enemies that you're playing against. And he's also a very strong unit in PvC, PvP. He's going to like stun your opponents, and it's just going to let you build up your damage more. Now, you know, let's say that you get one of these units, or you get both of these units, then, you know, go for William, who's going to be a blue support unit. As you can see, we're building up blue team right here. So if you can get those two units, go for William. He's a very nice supporter. He has the fastest speed stat in the game if you can max dupe him. And alongside that, his ult gives your main attacker a counter attack, and he also gives you Fortify while decreasing the enemy's defense. Now, you know, you don't have to go for William. It's something we all suggest, but Rades right here, also another very strong tank unit. He's going to give you a barrier that gives you immunity to elements, so like shit like stun, all that. Very good unit to have down the line. And now everyone else here, I don't usually go in depth with them, so I'm just going to kind of skid over them really quickly and why they're not worth rerolling for. Charlotte, I'm pretty sure for global client, it was like this on Canadian. On Canadian client, we got a guaranteed Charlotte first pull, so if that's the case, you don't need another Char dupe. Sally, she's extremely strong at the second season of Black Clover, but as of right now, when the game and the server first starts out, she's not going to be used too much because there's not any units that really Sally can buff up to be like big nuke. Nozel, despite his rework, is just one of the worst SSRs in the game. You know, there are some SSRs that we can consider bad, but they have other units that make them work well. Nozel's not one of them, unfortunately. Speaking of those units, we have Leopold, who is a mediocre unit by himself, but paired with his brother Fuegoleon, it allows him to get his burn kit off more, so he actually becomes a alright unit at that point. Jack, in my opinion, is horrible. If you get him, oh well, but he's definitely someone that you're going to toss off your team as soon as you get a better SSR. Rill is an interesting character. I don't think he's good in the PvE sense of things for me personally. I don't use Rill in PvE. Not really my type of style, but his ults can stun. It's an RNG stun on who it stuns, similar to Mars. But Rill's not going to be a good unit at the start of the game, just because he is a character that requires a lot of investment to be actually worth it. Now, with those things out of the way, I'm going to go over a few units that can cover those units that I just mentioned if you don't happen to reroll into those. Now, for Mars, if you don't get Mars, someone you can replace him with right here is Sol. She's an SR. Everyone should know Sol from Char's team, but she's an extremely good defender, and she's basically going to work perfectly for your team until you can get Mars. And even then, I was using Sol still for a long time before I upped my Mars, but she's a very good unit. Don't worry about it. Someone you can replace William with is Fenril and Voltos. You don't need William at the start, but it's definitely suggested towards the later end of the game, because these two units together just aren't that good compared to William by himself. These units are definitely good. I used Fenril for my PvE, and Voltos is lacking on PvE, but he's an extremely strong PvP unit right alongside William. But for PvE purposes, use Fenril, and for PvP, use Voltos. And even still, Voltos and William are usually ran together. If you don't have Rades, and I say this, Rades is, in my opinion, a slightly hard unit to replace if you don't have him. But if you just want a barrier character, then you can run normal Noelle. And she's going to be giving a water barrier to all your allies, so basically, the higher your magic attack, the higher her barrier. So if you just want a barriered character like Rades, level up normal Noelle. And Everyone else is kind of irreplaceable. Lotus, in my opinion, there's not anyone that can really replace what Lotus can do. Char, you get a free one of her, so no point in trying to replace her. Sally kind of can be replaced by, as I said, Fenrir and Baltos, because they're both buffers. Leopold, just honestly, don't replace him. If you have him, there's no SR that's gonna be worth it, I'd say. Jack, honestly, as you can see here, not worth it. I don't know why you'd want him on your team. And then Rill, as I said, RNG stunner. It's also a debuffer. Don't use him, but he's an alright unit. But with that out of the way, hope that gave you guys a more clear view on how you want to go across with Global. And as I said, later this week, for all of you hardcore gacha players, I'll be dropping a more in-depth guide on how you need to progress, what units you need to get, what you should be leveling up first, and all of that good stuff. But that being said, thank you all so much for staying here. I'm your boy Loda, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace, everyone.